Hello, good morning, good evening, guys. Welcome to the Sacred Circle. Today we have a discussion on meditation to help your life. So, what we'll be discussing today is actually how meditation actually improves our clarity, our perceptions, and helps with our physical uh, work life, social life, as well as our personal and family lives as well. So, also I want to touch a bit on sacred space. What is a sacred space? What is it for? How to actually improve yourself and your mood using a sacred space. Um, Also, crystals. Maybe we can talk about what are crystals and actually what they do for you, um, how they work, or rather what they are, and how they benefit you, and how you can work with them to, I guess, improve your life. And without further ado, let's actually get into it. Um, One second. Right. So, what actually is meditation? There's a lot of discussions and concepts of what meditation actually is. There are a few types of meditations, definitely, and each meditation has its own purpose. I think the main purpose of meditation actually is to help improve, okay, at least for me, is to create space in the mind. That is something very important. A lot of us, we are constantly going about our lives with our daily routines, and we feel very restricted in our minds, that we find our perceptions a bit off. We find uh, our view on life, or rather our thoughts, sometimes keep circling in our minds, and there isn't much space for other thoughts to come in, or other ideas, inspiration to flow through. So, at least in my experience, all the meditations I've had, besides the ones for healing, I mean, those are also included, because they actually help to clear some of the old rubbish out. Will be definitely uh, to make space in the mind. So, uh, I mean, mindfulness is one way of actually observing the body, so you create more focus, I guess, more sharpness in observing your own body, um, as well as for let's say normal breathing, breathwork meditations. At least when you focus on this center spot right here between your eyebrows, slightly above, where we keep our third eye. That's where we have our third eye, and we actually focus on this point in order to observe our body, observe our mind, ourselves actually. So it, in a way, focusing on this point creates that one sharp point of focus in order to bring our mind to a still point. That's the beauty of having meditation. So once we have a still mind, actually we can allow more ideas and thoughts to flow through. And sometimes we may feel very restricted. So increasing space in the mind is also the way of doing things. So we expand our consciousness in that sense, to a point where we have lots of other higher frequency ideas flowing through us, which are nicer, more pleasant to have, as opposed to the constant self-defeating, self-beating thoughts that we have all the time. What else? So also want to touch a little bit on depression. So some of us actually have this feeling of low self-worth, low view on life, low general self-esteem, I guess. So that actually also is actually a use for meditation to help us to get out of it, to get step by step climb up that ladder to see a clearer picture. And also, yeah, even boredom can also be one of the things where meditation definitely helps. So sometimes we are alone in our own space with our own thoughts, and we find ourselves very bored. Boredom, at least in my opinion, is always a way of distracting ourselves from feeling our own feelings or thinking our own thoughts. Boredom just seems like an excuse to not do something, or rather to escape something, because we know we have something to do. We know our minds are already fixated on something. Our minds are that sharp. So generally, having that ability to differentiate ourselves from our minds, that's a very clear distinction. So always knowing what to do, that is what you get from meditation. Whether you take action or not, that's up to us, I guess. Yeah, even actually feeling the need to have a partner or companion, just someone to talk to. Having trouble being alone is one thing that we all face, but having meditation gives us that ability to interact with ourselves and connect with ourselves and integrate ourselves to a point where we can be happy with ourselves. I mean, generally you have to do the work, yeah, to be able to be comfortable being alone. But in general, it's fine. It's a way of merging ourselves and creating that joy in our lives. So yes, also another purpose is to create a purpose for ourselves. So I believe each of us is born with a purpose. It may not be through destiny or something, but it can just be through our own willingness and our own inspiration, but we will find that purpose in our lives. So meditation actually gives us that sharp point to focus on, to an extent that we reach that focus point eventually. So that is what we get. I think we some of us might already know our purpose, but to get from point A to point B, definitely there is that journey. So having that ability to go through the obstacles, to walk that path all the way to that purpose, that's what you want from point A to point B. Um, yes, having the ability to create that journey, that's very important. And so at the end, we'll actually talk about how um, creating this practice of meditation, creating this daily ritual or a weekly ritual or spiritual practice at least, or at least mental reflection. Uh, so that's something we want to achieve, that consistency of behavior through spiritual practice, in order to get higher and to get further as well. And okay, so some of us may not actually believe in ourselves that much that we can actually create consistent practice. I'm sure a lot of us have tried to get a practice down and to consistently do it to a point where it gets us higher and further. But sometimes we fall and we keep failing, and we don't understand why. We don't understand why this happens. But um, creating that consistency is something that can be done. Yep, so let's talk about creating a sacred space, right? So, what is the need for sacred space actually? A sacred space is generally a space that we can sit down, we feel safe, and we can actually meditate or do yoga or do some sort of contemplation or reflections in it. Uh, that is something that can be prepared for that clarity of mind. And so, I guess talking about, okay, let's actually touch on the first topic, how actually meditation can help our lives, physically, socially, personally, and family wise. Physically, definitely, meditation gives that clarity of mind, that focus. So, if we have a task to do in our life, let's say we have to run some errands, we have to do a chore, we have to do, let's say, some sports that we need to have that mental focus. Um, we always have this sharpness, this cutting, this razor sharp focus that we want in order to get the job done in the least possible time, as efficient as possible, without distractions. That is what we can actually achieve. Um, I'm sure a lot of us think that meditators are just, woozy, floozy, kind of unfocused, high hippies or something. But we do actually achieve that sharpness. A lot of athletes do have it as well, but for normal meditators, actually, we don't show it, but we have that razor sharp focus, and honing it is one of the best ways to actually achieve that purpose that we want. And let's see what else. Having this focus actually expands our self worth actually. So touching a bit on the part on self worth. So we do, some of us have this point of depression or low moods or something. So having razor sharp focus actually gives us a bit of an elevation in that sense to get ourselves from point A to point B. So definitely having a low mood does slow us down in our lives. We may feel more lethargic, more sleepy, more inclined to sit and move around. But having that sharpness creates all the right um, portions of activity and rest in order for us to get way back, way down all the way to the end as soon as possible. That's the best part of it. So, and I'm sure definitely stepping out of that comfort zone is going to help us get way past that barriers into that point of clarity. So sometimes depression actually is due to fog of the mind. We find ourselves very unclear, very unfocused. But with that focus, definitely you move forward. You move all the way forward to a point where you never thought you'd be. And that's the beauty of it, having that point of life. And let's see. Yes, even talking about relaxation, some of us are very tightly wound. We don't know how to relax. We don't know how to get ourselves, you know, moving. Sorry, how to get ourselves to relax, how to breathe, how to sit down, chill, and just, lay back and just unwind. So I'm sure a lot of us go for drinks with friends or go for dinners and social occasions, to unwind, to let go of our inhibitions. But what if you can do all that and more yourself without the need to depend on people around you? Definitely, we need people around us to share the love and to vibe with us. That's all a part of nature. That's all a part of the human experience. But if we can achieve that level of independence, where we can be of ourselves and relax and lower down our frequency and our vibrations and just go to bed without any single thought in our head. That is what we can achieve. So let's actually aim for that. With a consistent practice, you definitely can achieve that point without a doubt. And let's see. So sometimes we may want to find ourselves, seeking a spiritual purpose or a spiritual path. Some of us are a bit lost in our lives. We find ourselves in situations like divorce or depression, or having a turmoil in our lives, some family death, having some uncertain life choices, stuck in between jobs, unemployed or something or the other. Definitely we all have been through some obstacles in our lives, at least in our early 20s or late 20s, some of us even younger. So what we actually can do is bring ourselves up out of that, move past it, through to some form of joy, happiness, peace, and making peace with the situation and the circumstances that has already happened. So being there to and untangle the knots, to just unwrap that nice present of who you are underneath all the garbage and all the the life situations weighing you down. That's one way we can actually move to our purpose. Through difficult times, actually, finding spirituality is very common, and we can actually, in a sense, wake up to our calling and our passions, even ourselves, our hearts, our souls, to find an interest maybe. So I have friends who have used meditation to get themselves out of like situations like a family death, bankruptcy, parents falling terminally ill, maybe have going through some divorce or some form of physical or mental unrest. They find themselves actually improving their lives through that, and definitely doing so will achieve that level of independence that we want. And so yes, spirituality can be shared through a lot of practices like yoga or qigong, or even religion, religious service. But through meditation itself, a practice that can be integrated into all these aspects of spirituality, definitely boosts our capacity to handle these energies of spirituality and this information that we receive through the universe, the people around us, our preachers, our masters, our gurus. Definitely something that we can look upon as a tool to guide us through our spiritual purpose. And talking about okay, so subsequently we talked about what meditation is for, how we can use it as tools for coming out all sorts of problems. But what can we talk about? How do we meditate, or rather, where do we meditate? So for me, I've done meditations in groups, in centers, in temples, in various religious places. but I find at home is always the best. And sometimes being in our own rooms, we have actually less of a chaotic environment, uh, because we sleep in this room. We have lots of uh, you know peace in our room. So if we are just one that spends not too much time in our rooms thinking and dwelling over things, we actually have created a space for pleasant thoughts to cultivate. Because for one, if we leave our space vacant for most of the day, the space will feel vacant. There won't be much chaos to disturb you around. So um, in a sense, when we talk about the space, we talk about the energy in the space. So if we play music in our rooms, definitely when we come back to our rooms, we'll feel a bit more you know more conducive in our rooms. So setting a space is very important. So always find a space where there's not too much chaos going on, or not too much chaos that's has been going on at least. So what we can do is actually use uh, um, I guess spaces where we have some peace. So a small tiny space where we just lay a carpet. We can put an altar. We can actually put up some decorations, like maybe you can put some idols of religious deities, put some pictures of uh, of gods, of you can actually put up crystals, or maybe just some paraphernalia, let's say like sage, incense, or essential oils, just to heighten the vibrations of the space itself. And let's actually explore a bit on the concept of e having a sacred space. Yeah, even music actually does help to create the environment be more conducive. Like so let's say you play some music that's high vibration, maybe some chanting music, or something called solfeggio frequencies, which are actually just frequency noises. You can actually Google them. Just type let's say 111 hertz frequency. You actually come across these melodies that's more like a melodic, harmonies that actually play at this frequency. It does help to actually give us some healing as well, some clarity. Depending on what frequency it is, actually gives us a bit more vitality in ourselves, definitely. So it gives us a more conducive environment. Even just some light piano music, classical music does help to create a space. um, Avoid things that are stressful, like work or your desk, your laptop, that electronics. Just put them all away. If you want to have your phone with you, just keep it on airplane mode. Play Spotify. That'll be a nice way to calm down after a long day of work. um, what else we can actually do in the sacred space? Actually, we can sit down, we can do our contemplations, meditations, yoga, whatever spiritual practice you may have, even reading Bibles, chanting. Uh, so uh, it does create that space of positive energy, and when we come back to it, you'll feel that vibration of positivity, as opposed to everywhere else around you, which you find more chaotic, especially after coming back from work. Oh, one thing I like to add, definitely after a long day of work, come back, take a shower, then go to a sacred space, because that's always the way of doing things. If you come back with whatever nasty you know days or day of work, that whatever your boss shouts at you, your colleagues just talk a lot to you, and you find yourself in a negative mood, um, taking a shower helps to cleanse your body, cleanse your aura. Come back to a secret space when you are in that state. Don't come back when it's all topsy-turvy and you're not in the right frame of mind. So that's one way of doing things. Another thing I'd like to add actually, so we talked about how we meditate, why we meditate, and where we meditate. Who we meditate with can be an option to talk about maybe in future video. I'll touch on it a little bit here. It's more like we just talk about maybe meditating with someone around you. Let's say we talk about, meditating with people close to you, maybe family members or fellow newbies to meditation, or fellow meditators that you've been meditating for a long time. Maybe you want to just try to meditate in a sacred space with them, or you can form a meditation circle where you can share your energies and actually reach a high vibration together. It's a nice way of actually sharing, the practice, and actually having someone to talk to about it. Sometimes we have experiences in our spiritual practice. We maybe have realizations or epiphanies which we want to share. So definitely a good way to do it is by having that session or sharing before or after your session. That creates a bit more trust and intimacy among your friends, and creates more self-confidence, self-trust. So let's actually talk about having that space. So who we meditate with is one thing, and also I'd like to touch a little bit more on grounding, something we've covered in the past few videos. You can check it out as well. Grounding actually is something very important, because it is something that can keep you centered and actually more focused on your practice. So something I like to talk about is actually Tony Robbins, who is a world-renowned motivational speaker and a billionaire who conducts talks to high-performing CEOs of big companies, and a very successful guy. I watched a video of his home and how he does his practice throughout his days, and actually one thing that we found was that he likes to do something called a cold water immersion, which is before he starts meditation. He actually just dives into a small pool of cold water, freezing cold water, for maybe 1 minute before he comes out and does his meditation. So that is something that can immediately ground you, immediately just wash, or rather just erase thoughts from your mind, just shock your body into thinking, okay, I'm here now, so let's do this. It brings you back right down to the present. Very nice way of doing things. And so grounding, like I talked about in previous videos, you can actually walk barefoot in the grass, you can do yoga, you can do exercise. Vigorous exercise actually does have to ground you quite a bit, but not too intense. You actually lose your mind from being too tired. Even walks in the park, hiking, trekking, all helps actually. So what else we can actually do? Yes, so grounding does help you to center yourself before a practice, because that is the way to do things. It gives you that centering you need. Sometimes for people who are a little bit more experienced in meditation, or having more anxiety issues, who cannot sit still for long periods of time, definitely ground yourself. Bring yourself down to a frequency that's closer to Earth. Feel connection with Mother Earth. Go out in nature, connect with the scenery, the forest, the trees, the animals, and then come back to meditate. So when you're in your space after a long day of grounding, you find yourself with less worry, more focused, more relaxed. Even massage actually helps, but please get a massage from someone who's more relaxed as well. You don't want them to rub off their negative vibes on you. So please allow yourself to ground before meditating or doing any spiritual practice, so that you can keep your space mellow and you can keep your mind mellow. Very important. think actually that's about it. Oh wait, last thing we can talk about is crystals. I don't think we've touched on this yet. So crystals are, I'm sure some of you have heard of crystals, and you know, people who are of the new age community talking about crystals and buying crystals and their fascination with crystals and different colors, different types, different sizes of crystals, and how it helps. So crystals are some things that actually are a tool to meditation or to spiritual practice. What they are is actually they're rocks, but they're not just rocks. They're rocks with vibrations, frequencies, consciousness. They have energy in them. Technically, everything is energy in them. They're all conscious, but we're looking at some things with higher vibrations, like crystals that have a vibration that can actually improve your vibration, and vice versa, definitely. So crystals, like I said, they have a consciousness. They are alive in a sense, so they do store some energy of consciousness in them. So what you can do, actually, you can look at them slightly in a sense like pets. They actually have a vibration of calmness in them. Whatever you choose to interact with the crystals will reflect, you know, be reflected by your frequency. So I guess having crystals around you or with you, you know, you have pocket-sized crystals, tumble stones as we call them, or big crystals, you know, like let's say we call them, what do you call them, crystal balls or crystal pieces, you know, slabs or something. There are various sizes, various types of crystals, polished, raw, refined, you know, and various qualities of crystals you can find. So all these actually work to improve our vibration. Something which I recommend to everyone is amethyst. You can start with amethyst. Amethyst actually is a very calming stone. It actually starts to reorganize your thoughts. It gives you a bit more clarity on your purpose. That is a good thing. Let's see. It improves and actually elevates the vibration of your space. So if you have big crystals or even small ones or whatever sizes, keep them around your sacred space, your altar, around you, around your circle, creating a sacred circle of crystals or good vibration objects to actually give you that boost for your meditations. Will give you a little bit more clarity, a bit more focus in your lives. You can actually put them in a pouch, like so. Carry them around. So these are small crystals. This is actually an amethyst given by a friend named Justin, very nice guy, Reiki healer, president of the Reiki Association, and his crystals are always filled with good energy, and they last very long. So these are good crystals. If you want to look for crystal dealers, look for Justin. If you want details on his contact, just give me a DM, or you can look for the Art of Blessing. It's a space run by my friend Adrian and David, who actually I've been going for their meditations for the past 3 years. Very good people. And yep, some of my own stones. There's Larimar, good for the throat chakra. Also we have Jade, given by a friend from Myanmar. Really friendly vibrations here. So all these are various types which can actually give you that boost. Yep, so if you are a bit of an experienced meditator, experienced energy worker, charging your crystals with energy does help you to get a better use out of it, better view of it. Yep. So, let's see. I think that's all we can talk about for today. Really appreciate your time and effort to sit with us on this Facebook live session. We enjoy sharing whatever we've learned through our practice, and we do hope to keep you engaged with our videos every week, and we hope you learn something out of it. Uh, yes. eh, If you have any questions, any doubts, anything to clarify with us, please come to us. Please just talk to us. Give us some feedback on our videos. We can improve it. Thank you once again for your time. I appreciate your attendance today. Thank you.